So getting back right to it, Metro Region Coordinator Valerie Horn is here to introduce our next workshop. So take it away, Valerie.
Thank you very much. So our next workshop is an overview of supported decision-making and the SDM Task Force. So the Mass Supported Decision-Making Task Force will host a workshop about the creation of the SDM Task Force and the value of supported decision-making, or SDM. There'll be different topics covered during the workshop, including the difference between guardianship and supported decision-making, and creating a forum for supported decision-making arrangements. So now I'd like to please welcome our presenters, Austin Carr, Anne Fracht, Kim Plaut, and Hezzy Smith. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here from the Harvard Law School Project on Disability. My name is Hezzy Smith, and I'll be supporting the three SDM Masketeers, Anne Fracht, Austin Carr, and Kim Plaut. Would you guys introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Anne Fracht.
Hi everyone, I'm Austin Carr.
Hi everyone, I'm Kim Plaut.
And we're here to tell you a little bit about the task force on supported decision-making at Mass, and a little bit about what supported decision-making is all about. So, Anne, can you tell us a little bit about what the Mass Supported Decision-Making Task Force is?
Sure, I'd love to. So the Supported Decision-Making Task Force is a group of people with different abilities and support if needed. Supported decision-making is a way to live your life on your own with some support. It's an alternative to guardianship. We got started in 2017 when Chris Griffin, then the CEO of the Disability Law Center, called to my attention that a group of lawyers and professionals were getting together to talk about supported decision-making in Massachusetts, and there were no self-advocates. She asked me to come and get another self-advocate. After that, I talked about it to the Mass Executive Committee, and Chris and Hezzy Smith from HPARD, Harvard Project on Disabilities, did a presentation to the Mass Board. Kim Plaut and I continued to go on meetings across the state after that.
And so what are some of the big accomplishments of the task force, Anne?
Well, the task force held a conference for self-advocates to explain and educate supported decision-making and get their input on what they thought supported decision-making should look like. We then looked at agreement forms from different states. Mass and other organizations tried to file a bill. The agreement form was too hard for self-advocates to understand. So we decided to write our own so that everybody could understand it. We held forums every year to get input from self-advocates. Then we worked on the forms to improve it between then until we thought we got it right. And this task force is important because now we have a form written by self-advocates for self-advocates, helping people to fill out their own forms. And we're probably the only organization that has a form by self-advocates and for self-advocates. In this presentation, you'll be hearing from my friends Austin Carr and Kim Plaut to tell you more about it.
Thanks, Anne, for that great overview of the history of the Mass SDM Task Force. So, Austin, what is this thing, supported decision-making, all about anyway?
You have the ability to make your own choice with supported. You can choose more than one supporter to help you on your team with supported decisions in your life.
So if you were to sum it up in just 3 words,
It's your choice, so you and it's your life, so you get to decide who you want on your team.
so what else do you think is important about supported decision-making for self-advocates to know?
SDM makes it possible for you to have one or more supporters to help make good decisions in your life.
And on the screen, we have an image of 2 orange stick figures standing on 2 blue puzzle pieces, reaching out over the gap to support each other. So Kim,
So-
what's another way of putting it?
Another way of putting this, which is a really important way of putting this, is it's your choice to get out there and use your voice. Remember, you cannot do that just for this, but every day of your life.
So what are some examples of people needing support?
Those some examples and some people might need support are the medical decisions, whether or not to go on or off a med change, or whether or not to go to higher ed or not.
Those are some great examples. Thanks, Austin.
So,
So Kim, who is it that is making the decisions when it comes to supported decision-making?
The person that makes the choices with supported decision making is you, because you have the ability to make change, and you have the ability to use your supporters at any time, and to use your voice to let them know what you can do with your life. The courts are not involved in this situation.
Mhm.
So it's all up to you and your supporters.
That's great. And so, a person with disability could choose his or her own supporters or change them if he or she wanted to.
Yes, definitely at any time. If you feel that your supporter's not working out, or if something happens and you want to change not just your supporter, but the way that your supporter helps you, you can change that at any time and make adjustments.
Great. And there's an image on the screen of 2 stick figures, one gray and one red. And the red stick figure is holding the shoulder of the gray stick figure to support that person. So Kim, since we can change and choose supporters, how many supporters do folks have when they're using supported decision-making?
There are usually multiple supporters. Some people start out with one, but they usually end up with multiple supporters. In other words, I might want to discuss my medical situation with one supporter, but I might want to discuss my financial situation with a separate supporter. But I might want to discuss my shopping and health needs with a separate supporter, because maybe somebody else encourages me better with my health food choices. So there's a couple of different reasons why you might want to choose different supporters for different areas in your life. But if you feel comfortable with one, it's okay, but I suggest more than one.
Great, that's really helpful. And there's an image on the screen of multicolored paper cutouts all holding hands. So could you sum up sort of, what you've been telling us, Kim?
Sure. You can choose who will help you to decide. So remember, it's you that gets to make that choice, not the people supporting you.
Great. Thanks, Kim. So we heard a little bit before from Anne about all the work that the task force has done over the years to meet with self-advocates and get to know some of the issues that they're experiencing. So what has the Mass Task Force on Supported Decision-Making heard from self-advocates about what makes it hard for them to make their own decisions?
Some of the things that Mass has heard is that people from DDS or just in general programs or just group homes, they'll say something like, I don't think that you can do this scenario, and I don't believe that you have the quality to do this. But how do you know that the person can't do this or has the ability to do this unless you let them try to do this type of situation? Supported decision-making is a way for you to believe in yourself and try out new things. I think that people saying that you don't have the ability to do something is not a good thing because it doesn't give you encouragement.
Thanks, Kim. And there's an image on this screen of a purple word bubble that has the words, I can do this, and an exclamation point on it. What else did self-advocates tell the task force, Kim?
Often self-advocates reported that they would rather have a person that does not make their decisions and that they were making their selected decisions and that they did not have the formal authority to do that. A healthcare proxy is someone that does have some formal authority, but they have to make the decisions with people, not for people. Staff aren't supposed to make decisions for you. They're supposed to make them with you. The whole scenario here is that people can't make decisions for you without you because it's your body, it's your life. So don't let people tell you what you can and can't do and how you can do it, because you need to be able to realize that it's your right. Just like we say, you have human rights.
Yeah, and I think what the task force heard from a lot of self-advocates was that, sometimes staff and other people, even if they're not legally allowed to make decisions for people, they kind of in practice can end up doing so, which is, a real big barrier that a lot of self-advocates face. And there's an image on this slide of someone holding up their hand, the palm of their hand, and the palm of their hand has a stop sign printed on it. But that's not all, right, Kim? Self-advocates had a lot to say. What else did they share with the task force?
They shared that they don't like their rep payees to really act more like rep payees. They want to be involved in their finances. They may not understand all that people are doing for them, but they want to understand what money do they have access to? What bills are being paid for them? How is this being done? They kept on saying to us, I don't know what money I have in the bank. I don't know what I can and can't do. I don't understand. But in reality, they want to understand. They don't want to be left in the dark. They want to understand their finances. They want to understand, when can I go to the grocery store with what money I have? How much do I have to buy myself a new phone if I need it? Things like that. And it's not unreasonable.
Yeah, and I think that was something that, the task force heard, especially from folks who were living in group homes, that rep payees especially, but also others, would sometimes not fully involve them in decisions about how their money was being spent. So that was really, really important. for the task force to find out. And there's an image on the screen showing a pile of cash with a red circle and a line through it. All right, and just as by way of example, self-advocates, said a lot and shared a lot with the task force over the years. Just one more example of what some self-advocates said makes it hard for them to make their own decisions.
Self-advocates, even though they have guardians, they said, well, I don't really get in touch with my guardian very much, or I know I have a guardian, but I would like them to act more like supporters. I would like them to support me and not make decisions for me. I understand and I get that guardians are really there to make decisions for people and that they're there to help them make the right decisions. But a lot of people were saying, well, I think I have the ability to make this decision. Sometimes I wish I didn't have a guardian. But in some retrospect, I hear it and I understand it. But if people feel that that's what they want, they need to stick up for themselves, not put it on the back burner.
Yeah, and there was one self-advocate, right, who's kind of stated that really clearly, right? And we have that quote on the screen. Sometimes people who aren't their own guardian don't even get listened to. And there's an image here.
Like I said, we got all this information from individual self-advocates when we did a statewide panel and a statewide forum. So we got all this information from individual self-advocates all around Massachusetts.
And there's an image on this slide of a black and white image of a woman holding her hands over her ears as if she cannot hear. Okay, so thanks, Kim. I wanted to ask Austin a little bit about how a bill in Massachusetts on supported decision-making might be helpful for self-advocates.
Well, Hezzy, many people are already using supported decision-making, but made an SDM law would help ensure that self-advocates' rights are respected.
That's a great point. And a lot of people are already doing supported decision-making in their day-to-day lives. They might not be calling it that, but if there were a bill or a law in Massachusetts that on supported decision-making, then self-advocates' decision might have an extra tool in their toolbox for advocating for their decisions to be respected. And there's an image on this slide of a rainbow-colored bill, a piece of paper with writing on it, and a gavel slamming down and making some noise. So what else would be useful about if there were a law, Austin, in Massachusetts on supported decision-making?
An SDM bill would help people with disability use SDM agreements to make their, I can't see the rest of the word, but I don't get it up here. SDM agreement can help ensure that their decisions are respected. Sorry, I had to bounce around a little bit there.
Oh, that was great. I think it's really important. And you introduced this kind of new idea, Austin, right? That there are these things out there called supported decision-making agreements. And we'll learn a little bit about them up ahead. But there's an image on this slide of a piece of paper with writing on it that says the word law, and a hand holding up that piece of paper from below. So what would be, the big message that a bill or a law in Massachusetts on supported decision-making would send to everybody?
So the big message that we want people to know, Hezzy, that people with disabilities have control over their lives. And with support, if your life is your choice.
Yeah, I think that's really important, right? If you have control over the decisions that affect your life, then you'll have control over your life. And there's an image here of some figures with and without disabilities in blue, holding hands and raising them up high at the bottom of the screen.
And there's also a statement that says, your choice, your rights.
Yes, thank you, Kim. So Kim, it sounds like, what Austin's saying is that a bill in Massachusetts on supported decision-making could be really helpful. Has there been any such movement or efforts in Massachusetts so far to make that?
Yeah, there really has been a lot of movement in Massachusetts with this bill. First off, before I even talk about the movement, Mass Advocates was actually with a coalition in creating this bill. So we made it so that self-advocates were involved in this bill, and we helped to put it into action. In January of 2019, the SDM bill was introduced into Massachusetts legislators. It talks about how the SDM agreement and who it can be important to, and how advocates can have the tools to work with it. We made it so that the form was blank and that anyone can create the form so that it can benefit the people around them.
And there's an image on this slide of another piece of paper with some writing on it and a seal at the bottom, and someone holding a pen in his or her hand and signing his or her name at the bottom of that piece of paper. So, and then what happened, Kim?
In June of 2019, Mass was able to go to the hearing that they were giving and provide testimony. Some people gave face-to-face testimony, and other people like myself provided written testimony.
And there's an image on this screen of a Capitol building in black and white. Was that it, Kim? Is that where the journey is?
Not.
Okay.
Definitely not.
Okay.
We're still working to this very day. In February of 2021, we worked hard and tirelessly again to get the SDM bill reintroduced into Massachusetts legislation. And then myself, Anne, and Fran, we actually testified again on the SDM bill for November 22nd of 2021. We will basically continue tirelessly to make this bill happen. So please definitely keep up with Mass Advocates standing strong on this bill, because you can advocate for it too.
And there's an image on the screen of, as you said, Kim, you, Fran, and Anne testifying at that hearing on November 22nd before the Massachusetts legislature. Okay, so what are we going to talk about next, Kim? Now
We're going to talk about what is a supported decision-making agreement.
Okay, great. And Anne, you're going to help us figure out a little bit about what an SDM agreement is all about, right? So what is
a supported decision-making agreement states that the supporter agrees to follow and assist the decision maker The decision maker, which is you, agrees, makes the final decision, and the supporter respects the decision maker's choices.
And there's an image on this screen of two hands holding up the words decision-making, goals, options, and dreams. What else, Anne?
A supported decision-making agreement identifies the people who will support the person in making their own decisions. It goes into effect as soon as you and your supporters sign it.
And there's an image here of a cupped hand holding up an individual, a stick figure from the side. So Anne, what has the task force done about supported decision-making agreements?
So the task force has created its own supported decision-making agreement forms that are easy for self-advocates to use.
And on this slide, there are two images, one of two people standing and reviewing some books together, and another of a hand signing a signature on a piece of paper. So Kim, Anne told us a little bit about what a supported decision-making agreement is, and that the task force has created some special tools for self-advocates to make their own supported decision-making agreements. Can you tell us a little bit about what's in these tools and what they look like?
Sure. I think the biggest thing that's important to me that's actually in this tool is the introduction. And I think for self-advocates to know this, it's very important that people like yourselves, they help to create this agreement. And that it was created by Massachusetts Advocate Standing Strong, the organization by people with disabilities, and people like yourselves. And I believe that knowing that somebody with a disability has the ability to create something like this with help, that's very important. And I want to let you know that that is exactly what supported decision-making is.
Excellent. So what else is there in these tools that you'd like to share with self-advocates?
Okay, well, I'll share a few bullet points that are really important for you guys to know. These bullet points are also on our supported decision-making agreements. So for first, you need to be sure to pick someone that you trust. Your supporter should be someone that's willing to support you and your decisions. You need to be respected for your rights and your choices. And you have the ability to make your own decisions. And you have the ability to also pick the person that you trust to support you and make decisions with you when you need help. Be sure that your supporters know what supported decision-making is and what it's about, and how it will help you and them be better supporters and a better self-advocate. If a supporter is paid, you need to let them know that this is not a paid position, that this position is for you as a supporter to get the help that you need, and that you feel that this is a good way for them to learn about you as well. You also need to remember that you as the individual has the ability to tell your supporters no, and that you can stop your agreement at any time, and that you can always not just stop it, but change it. Maybe you needed help with something else when you made this agreement, or maybe you didn't need help with something, but now you do. and now you don't. So you can change your agreement at any time. And your supporter can't tell you, well, I don't think you really should. They can say that, but it's your final decision. Because if you believe that you have the ability now to go grocery shopping on your own, and that's what you want to do, and all you need support on is getting there, then that's what you need support in. It's up to you as the individual to know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are.
Those are great points, Kim. And so what does the section where someone decides what decisions they might want help with from certain supporters, what does that part of the agreement look like?
Well, we have numerous forms. This is just one of them. We have maybe 3-4 different forms. But this one is a list of various scenarios. Now you can also add your own. One for money and banking. Maybe you want someone to help you pay bills. One that's not here is maybe you want someone to help you plan for making a will, or plan for what to do if something happens to you in the future. But in retrospect, you have the ability to write anything that's not on here and add that to the list. You don't have to follow this list. It's just a guide. The same thing for talking and having wellness. Maybe you need help with medications, but maybe you need specific help. So you can say, okay, well, I need help taking my blood sugar every day, or I need help making sure that I have my seizures monitored monthly. So that's not necessarily on here, but that's something that you can add to the list. It's, again, just a guide. And that is good, but specifics come from you and you alone.
So it sounds like these are kind of just tools that self-advocates can use to match their specific set of preferences and their specific situations. Is that right?
Correct.
Great. All right. So we've prepared some frequently asked questions that people have asked about supported decision-making. We will have a question and answer session at the end of this presentation, but maybe we might answer some of your questions here. So Anne, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Austin, how can your supporter help you decide about a huge decision?
So what your supporter can do is help you weigh the pros and cons of your decision. Let's say, for example, like if I wanted to go to a concert on a school night, I can go to that concert, but also I have to know that I have to get up very early the next morning and go to school or work or whatever it is.
Kim, same question.
So Austin said, well, if I want to go to a concert, another big decision that you might want help with is maybe you want to change your doctor because your doctor's not working out. Your supporter can help you find a new doctor, but can also talk it over with you so that you feel like you have the right fit. So that's a huge decision in itself. So there's different types of decisions and different levels of decisions. But in the end, choosing that doctor is your final choice.
Can you have more than one supported decision-making agreement, Austin?
Yes, one for financial decisions and one for your medical team.
And can you give an example of how different supporters can help you with different things?
Yes, one can help you with your finance and one can help you with your medical decisions.
And Kim, can you answer the same question?
Sure. You can have more than one agreement. You need to remember that you can fill it out with people that you trust. The agreement can be used not just for medical stuff, but if you want to, let's say, have one person help you with, let's say, going out to parties and stuff. So you might want someone to help you with transportation. You might want someone to help you with advocacy and being more involved. And that might be that person's decision-making skill for you. So remember, it may not be the person that does your medical choices. Maybe that's not their strong suit. So you just need to remember that everyone has their own strong suit in supporting you. So you can decide on more than one supporter to help you with each situation and each scenario.
Could you give examples of if you were using the agreement, how it would help you? Kim, why don't you go first?
A way that the supported decision-making agreement would help you is that
How would help you?
I know
How would
a way
it
that
help
the
you?
supported decision-making would help me and probably anybody is that it helps me to decide whether I want to go for an appointment right now due to COVID. It also would help me by giving doctors and nurses and just anybody in the medical field knowing that I'm the one that has the authority to make the final decision. That it's my choice on what gets done with me medically. If you really think about it, people with disabilities, the doctors, they really look at the supporters and say, is this right for them? But in reality, the supporters, they don't know about your insides and outs. So you need to realize, I don't know. It doesn't make me feel good. The medicine makes me tired. You really want to tell your doctors that, but they look at your supporters and they don't really hear you. That's how I feel a lot of the time.
So, Austin, can you answer the same question? How would it help? How would the agreement help you
Well,
if you were using it?
the agreement would help me because it would show my support team what I generally would like to do throughout my day, and that would give them a good idea of what I don't like to do and what activities I do like to do, and that would just offer them a rough draft about what I like my daily routine to be.
So can you make changes to the supported decision-making agreement once it's signed?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off, but yes, you can. It's your life, so it's your agreement, so you got to make all the changes that you want.
So what if I want to stop using my form and I just want to quit? Can I do that?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Kim,
so yes, you can change your agreement at any time. There's actually a form in the back of the agreement
oh,
that,
there is?
yep, that gives you the ability to change your agreement at any time. And this form in the back of the agreement makes it possible for you to go into the agreement and write new language of how you want your agreement to work. I think that's important for everyone here to know that.
But do I have to have it notarized again just to end it?
Possibly, but still, it's good to change it if you really want to. And yes, you can stop your agreement at any time, whether you feel like you're getting abused or whether you feel that you want to stop it and not have it work out. You can do that as well. But I think trying it is a great option. Right now, we're working on a pilot to help people try out supported decision making, and I think that that's a great thing that Mass is working on now. And I think that also supported decision making can be stopped, it can be paused, it can be done at any time, and that's something that's important. But yes, it does have to be re-notarized, because maybe you want to change the date of the date, and that means that you're changing when it was active again.
And I think some of those details might change depending on what version of the bill actually gets enacted, if any of it. So stay tuned for those. So we've last frequently asked question, and we've said at this point that supported decision making is different from guardianship in a number of ways, right? But Anne?
So it is different than guardianship. It doesn't tell you what to do. It's your choice. It's not a replacement for guardianship. Guardianship will still be out there. So can you understand, can you explain, Kim and Austin, why is SDM not a replacement for guardianship?
Sure. The main thing is that people need to understand that supported decision making's out there for you to try to an alternative. You don't have to stop guardianship if you don't feel comfortable, but SDM is out there for you to have another option in life. SDM may give you a little more freedom in your life, but maybe somebody really needs help making choices for themselves with a guardian. So it doesn't mean people don't have guardians or that we're stopping guardianship in Massachusetts. It just means that we're giving people the alternative to use their voice more when it comes to doctors and all the other political statements that they stare at the guardian and don't really ask the self-advocate.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Tim. Yeah, it's another option, and it has a little more supported decision making, has a little more wiggle room or playroom than guardianship has.
So how can folks get involved with the task force, Kim, if they're interested in what they're hearing?
Well, we will probably have a meeting for the task force in March. So if you're interested, write that you're interested. We're going to talk about SDM pretty often. So talk about it with your friends and family. See if you're interested. Get back to us if you are. Join the SDM Task Force? Sure. Let us know if you're interested. Share your story. Share why you think SDM is great. Share why the thought of SDM makes you feel more confident in your life. Sign up for our updates on our website or our Facebook page at We Are Mass. So
yeah, there's lots of
remember,
options for signing up for updates, right, Kim?
Yep. So to get updates, you can go to the Mass Facebook page. You can go to the Mass Flash, and you can go to the Mass website at wearemass.org. You can also call 857-360 0134.
Or you can email info@wearemass.org. So
So-
lots of ways to get involved and to stay up to date on what the task force is doing. So it seems like we have a little bit more than 10 minutes for questions and answers. I see there's been some fun in the chat. I'm going to stop the screen share. And maybe I'll get us started, and Kim and Austin, with a question from Fran that's in the Q&A box. And the question is, how do you make decisions when someone's trying to make decisions for you? It's a tough question, and there's probably not one right answer to it. But do you guys have any thoughts about what someone can do when someone else is trying to make a decision for them?
Yeah. Maybe for starters, I would just tell that individual that before you made the decision for me, I would like your help, or I would like to try to make 1 or 2 decisions on my own today, and see how that goes. Anna, do you have anything else to add at this point?
You
I
can
don't think I'd like to answer that question, not knowing who the situation.
all I can say to that question is that you can use your voice and help yourself to make your choice. But remember that if you don't feel comfortable with someone, to just remember that you have a voice out there for yourself.
Okay. So I see a couple of hands up as well. Mindy, I see that your hand is up. Do you have a question or a comment?
So I actually remember doing this with you guys a long time ago. And now I'm really starting to think this is a choice for me. So how do I get started on working on this?
We are actually, myself and Donna J, we're actually peer guide trainers. You can contact the website at We Are Mass under Sarah Binney, and you can actually send her an email of your interest, and we are going to be going through various people, and we will decide on a small portion of the people, and we will contact you and decide if that's a possibility for you. We'll ask you a series of questions and help you fill out the SDM agreement.
That would be wonderful, because I mean, I've gotten to the point where I've just been sitting here thinking about this, and it's like a good thing to have. So if I could get started the sooner, the better.
Sounds good.
So I'm really looking forward to this. I know I did it with Hezzy before, and Marie and everyone else, and I'm just really happy about this. And I was hoping this would be brought up in the conference, because I was like, I really want to do this, but I don't know if it's going to be brought up. So I will be looking forward to that, and I will try to find out where that is and get in contact right away.
Yeah, just email Sarah Binney at We Are Mass.
Okay, I will email her after this.
Mm-hmm.
I see a good, and Mindy, your feedback helped shape the forms that the task force put together. So your participation, your contributions were really, really important. So thank you for that.
Anytime, because I was seriously like hoping to do it again, just to kind of remember things. And when I saw this was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to start doing this. Like, I'm getting close to 30 years old, and I just want to make sure that I'm able to make my own decisions without being forced to do something. So when I saw this, like I said, it's a great forum. Everyone should really do it. And I am teaching this in the sales leadership so that people will get more involved in it. So for me, having it for myself will help me teach others, and I'm just really excited. I can't wait to get this started.
Okay.
Sounds good. We can't wait to start working with you.
I see a new question in the Q&A from Heather Johnson, and I'll read it out loud. The question is that supported decision-making sounds similar to self-direction. How is it different?
You want to take that, Ann?
Oh, supported decision-making is similar a little bit, but self-direction is learning how to direct your life. And supported decision-making is taking control of your life and making your own decisions through your whole life with support when you need it, but mostly taking advice from people and asking people for advice and directing your life. It's a program where supporters are not getting paid to help you, where self-direction people are paid to help you, and then they're not always listening to you.
Those are great points, Ann. And I think, I would
And I
just
think the big key everyone needs to know here, Hezzy, and I think that, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
It's not a DDS program. It's not funded by DDS. And I think that that's what everybody here needs to really know. So supported decision-making is actually a fully done program by Mass and our coalition of the Disability Law Center, CPR, and other organizations, but not done by DDS. And I think that that's something that all of you should know, because it's not controlled by your case managers.
So the true self-direction and self-determination are taking control of your life with the supports that you need. And supported decision-making is once that you're self-directed and self-determined, and then where do you go? You need to have some support, but not a lot of support. And picking supported decision-making is giving you the minimal support of being self-directed and self-determined.
Yeah, so, and I think, Kim, you took the words right out of my mouth. There are some things that DDS doesn't provide funds for, and people are more than the sum of the services that they receive. So your supported decision-making agreement can be about decisions that have nothing to do with your services, or that overlap somewhat or not at all with your services. And you have a lot of freedom in figuring it out. But
it's also saying there are some people that have guardians that don't really need guardians, but parents sometimes, from what I've seen, just like to hold on a little bit too long. And so it's saying, well, I'd like you to support me, but to let go of the guardianship. I could be on my own, but I'd just like you to support me in some of my decisions.
So there are a couple more hands up, and we have a couple minutes. I see that Donna, Derek, and Fran have their hands up, so I'll call on them in that order. Donna, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Didn't unmute. I don't think.
Oh, geez.
Mhm.
Yeah. I want to let three of you and Hezzy do a very good job. Do an excellent overall.
Thank you, Donna.
Well, thank you,
You're
Donna.
welcome.
Thank you, Donna.
See you Monday.
I think Derek has a question as well.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's more of a comment. Hezzy know me pretty well from the Gator Project that about Fran's question, it's your life, you're right.
Well said. Well said. Couldn't say it better myself. Fran, you have a question.
Do you, how do I say this?
It's okay,
make-
Fran. Take your time.
Thank you. How do you, make decisions how do you get support in decision making when you're at your own job, when you have support within your family, but you're at a job? How do you get that? How do you incorporate support decision with a job?
Oh, you can ask for a job coach until you get used to your job. You can have weekly meetings with your supervisor and ask for support on your job.
The other thing that's really key, and sorry, Ann, thing that's really key here is if you put that you need support on your supported decision-making agreement on any particular part in your job, you can also let them know that you have support in that particular position and that person is there to support you for that.
Also, when you're hired, you can let your supervisor or the place where you're working know that you need either weekly support or daily check-in or something like that, and they should honor that.
So I see a couple more hands up. If we have time, Sandra, I think you're ready to go.
Yeah, I was I'm in an agency with choice. Is that the same thing as SDM?
No, it's not.
Oh,
I'm in agency with choice as well. It's not the same thing. You don't have the staff that you have in agency of choice. You can choose your own person to support you. Agency of choice is basically paid staff and paid staff supports, whereas self-direction and supported decision-making are different. Supported decision-making is you making the final decision, but also you having more authority with doctors and all them, having more of a hearsay in your life. And you can have somebody support you in all different areas and not just one person.